We got a chance to watch the first 2 episodes of Willow. So what did these 2 dads think of the show? Stay tuned to find out.
Hit that intro.
All right, everybody. If it's your first time joining us, welcome! We're 2 dads who love all things fandom, from Star Wars to Star Trek, Marvel to DC, and Middle-earth on down to Westeros. We love it all, and we want to share all of our insights and love of all things nerdy to you, our viewers. So if that's your cup of tea, then we're here for you, so you should definitely subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on all of our amazing reviews and insights that we bring to all of our favorite fandoms. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. My name is Chris Matthews. I'm joined, as always, by my buddy and co-patriot, cohort, and co-host, Mr. Matt Parham. How you doing today, brother?
Not too bad at all. How are you doing, buddy?
Woo! Living the dream. Worked all night and was so excited to get to talk to you about the latest Lucasfilm outing here, Willow. It premiered on Wednesday last week, and we got not 1, but 2 episodes of Willow out there, so...
Yeah.
The titles of those ones were The GALES was the first one, directed by Stephen Wolfenden and written by Jonathan Kasdan. And the second episode was called The High Aldwin.
Why do you think, just to, since we got the intro there, why do you think they keep doing this, buddy? Why do they keep releasing a couple episodes as a premiere instead of just calling it a premiere special? Or
I am so sick of this Disney Plus. You guys continue to do this, and apparently they're going to do this with Bad Batch as well. There's going to be 2 episodes on the premiere date, and I'm just like, stop it! Just give us 1 episode so we can cover it. They really don't like to release stuff for us content creators out there that want to cover this stuff. They just want to make it difficult for us.
I think that's really what it's about. It's just another reminder, like, hey, actually, we have all of this ready for you. We could release it like Netflix. We could do the Stranger Things bit. But instead, we're just going to give you the tease. We're just going to give you a few, not 1 at a time. We're just sprinkle in a few at the beginning, and then we'll draw it out 1 at a time for the remainder of weeks.
Yeah, and we could go into detail as to why I think specifically they did this for this show, because I think that there was a reason for that. So let's get into it. That second episode was The High Aldwin, directed also by Stephen Wolfenden and written by somebody else, Bob Dolman. I also have another question for you, Matt. Jonathan Kasdan, is that a member of the Kasdan family? You remember Lawrence Kasdan? He actually wrote Empire Strikes Back. He came on for Solo. Is Jonathan Kasdan a son?
Oh, if they're brothers or father and son or something like that. I don't actually know. Oh, no, I'm finding it now. Lawrence Kasdan is his father.
Boom! Bingo! Yeah, Kasdans are big in Lucasfilm here, so let's go ahead and check out the Rotten Tomato scores, guys, and it's pretty interesting. I gotta say, I bring this up week to week on our shows when we review them, and for Season 1 Willow, for so far, it's giving us, which is really cool, it gives us a critic score on this, as well as an audience score. This is the first one that we've covered, Matt, where we've gotten an audience score. I'm like, finally. I don't know why that's different for this show, but it is, and it's really cool. And it's very interesting, too, if you've seen this, too. So the critic rating, there's 54 critics that rated this show, gave it an 83%. So if we dive in a little deeper on that, there's 9 Rotten Tomatoes, 45 fresh tomatoes on there. And overall average rating is a 6.9 out of 10. And if you go over to the audience score, it's a bit lower. What do you think it is, Matt, on that one?
Maybe in the 30s?
Oh, man, you were so close. 28%, so it is definitely not. 799 people rated this show.
I don't know if sample group there. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a review bomb or whatnot, but we can get into that, see what these 2 dads think, and kind of bring those 2 things together. And if you guys remember anything from the history of Willow, if you're into Willow, and you probably are because you're watching this, but you probably know that this is a complete reversal what the movie actually did. It premiered. It was George Lucas's idea to come up with this story. Ron Howard directed. They didn't know how it was going to go, and it ended up being a bomb when it came to the critics. They rated it low. And the audience rated it very highly. They very much enjoyed this. It kind of had a cult following afterwards, and was definitely something that people checked out as it went. So it's very interesting to see that the series is starting off in the opposite way.
Set up the time, because people were doing this. At that time, you had movies coming out like Princess Bride, where they were almost, they were parodying the sort of romantic comedy
right.
fairy tale. This one's obviously a giant parody of Lord of the Rings, and you had movies come out like Labyrinth, and what was that one with Tom Cruise? Legend.
Legend. Oh yeah.
So we were kind of in that era where we're getting a bunch of these kind of hokier, campy, sci-fi fantasy type things, and I think the audience loved them just because they were fun to watch, and not necessarily that highbrow type of fantasy that you might get from Lord of the Rings, which I think Lord of the Rings is fun to watch, but it's definitely more serious content than Willow.
Oh, way more serious. Like when I was a kid, Willow was probably the first thing that I experienced way before Lord of the Rings, but way before I read those books and everything else. So like this is like in my memory from early on, even before Star Wars. It kind of was always there. I remember watching Willow. I must have been like super young, when I first watched it, because it was there in my memory the whole time. And I recently rewatched Willow and everything, and got to see it again before this to kind of prepare for this episode. So, it was an adventure. I totally remembered it. It being a little bit more serious. There was a lot of things in there. I was like, oh, that's a little wacky. Everybody turns into a pig at this moment in time.
Yeah, well,
I was like,
did you love the almost like Harryhausen, claymation effects with the monsters at the end?
I actually did love that. I love those effects.
Well, and
it doesn't ever get old.
Funny because it wasn't too many years after that. I think it was like 95. Jurassic Park comes out. And they were actually considering doing stuff like that for the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, claymation.
They were.
If you get a chance,
Phil
go on
Tippett.
YouTube.
Yeah.
You can find some of the animatics that they were coming up with for the T-Rex chasing the Jeep down the path and everything as a claymation T-Rex, and it's pretty hilarious. So.
But Phil Tippett was brought on board for Jurassic Park to do all of those, and they wanted him on there. And he worked on Star Wars. He did the Tauntauns. He did all that kind of stuff. He did all the stop motion for them. He is the man when it comes to all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was a big letdown for them. They had a team on the side of computer artists that were working on this to see if they could get this right, and it was just it was a big letdown for poor Phil Tippett when he saw all those renderings, and it was like, well, I guess I'm out of a job. But they had him stay on board and everything, and to deal with the motion and everything, and they were able to set up a thing where he was able to help with the dinosaurs' motion, and he's had a phenomenal career after that as well. So
and we still have beautiful claymation movies, obviously, that continue to come out.
True.
They're incredibly difficult to make, so it's still a valuable platform. It's just as special effects when it comes to live action, it's definitely gone the way of the dinosaur, should we say?
And if you guys do want to see like a really cool show on Disney Plus, in Industrial Light, and I think it's Light and Magic, I think is what it's called.
Light and Magic, yep.
And oh man, it's such a good series. It gives you all the behind the scenes stuff that they had to come up with and build this ragtag team together in order to make Star Wars and the effects for Star Wars, because none of that studio effects artists were there at that time. There was nobody. There was no studio you could go to, no effects team or company that you could just go to and pay. They had to come up with that stuff all themselves, and it was really incredible. Great story. Check it out on Disney Plus. But let's talk a little bit more about Willow here.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
And the current show that we just watched. So, Matt, rap with me, brother. What did you think of these two episodes? Best show ever, right?
Yeah.
The best show ever.
I was thinking of it, okay, like, how are they going to follow Willow up anyway? Because Willow's such a goofy movie, and it's heartwarming because it fit that era, right? It fit those films that were coming out in the 80s, and it was fun for kids like us. It's like whenever I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's so ridiculous now whenever I watch it, but I still love it.
Still holds up for me, brother.
But when this came out, and I watched episode 1, and we're all watching it together, so I watched it with Elise and the kids, and I was just so nervous. In fact, the kids actually finally said what all of us were thinking, like, where's Willow?
I know, throughout the first episode. Yeah, and again, this is what I had to bring up in the beginning. Like, I think the reason why they came out with the 2 episodes was because of that very reason. The first episode is devoid of the person that it's named after.
Right.
You know?
Right. And I think it's cool that, he is now a full sorcerer and all that sort of thing.
High Aldwin, yes.
But he
consults the bones.
That was, I don't know, just very confusing, and it had the campiness. It had sort of goofy, weird humor. Some of it works, some of it falls miserably flat.
Yeah.
But it's like that's how the original was too. I mean, not all of Val Kilmer's lines landed. Some of it was just stupid. And nothing against Val Kilmer, but that's just what the movie was. And it was heartwarming because of that. And so I saw, okay, that tone fits this a little bit, but I didn't really like sort of all the weird, angsty teen drama in the middle of all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was eye-rolling to me.
The modern speak of teen speak too was just
and some people have British accents and others don't, and that again
I know, right?
Fits the original Willow too. Like the accents are all over the place.
Val Kilmer didn't really have an accent as Matt Mardigan.
So I'm like, okay, well, and some of the humor is just like, was that part meant to be funny, or are we back to being serious now?
Yeah.
Some of the editing was way off.
That's my biggest thing was, the editing, just some of the cuts and everything. And the shots were just...
when Alora Dannon just inexplicably gets up and starts walking towards the barrier and comes across that canyon and decides, well, there's nothing else I can do. I must go across this log that looks incredibly dangerous.
And did you hear that too? Alora Dannon, which we find out in, I think we find on is this the second episode? I think we find out, right?
It's at the end of the first one when they meet Willow and he comes over and he grabs her arm and reveals the mark.
So she's called Dove by her boyfriend, the prince, Mad Mardigan's son, but her real name, her name was Broomhilde. And so that actress is Ellie Bamber. But did you see that they slipped in a shit in that when she was looking at the canyon and when she was looking at the canyon part and she says shit. I watched it again. I was like, did she really say shit?
It was so goofy.
Right.
And the season 2 or episode 2 starts with this flashback where Willow's got himself a goatee all of a sudden.
I know this.
He's also
I couldn't stop looking at the damn thing. I was like, what the heck is that thing?
I know, but he's strutting into to see the queen in this very clear jean jacket. And I was like, what kind of costume?
They got jean jackets in this.
I mean, with the buttons and the sewn pockets and stuff. And I'm like, why does he have a denim jacket on? What is going on there?
That's what a High Aldwin. They get to pick jean jackets if they want. They can wear whatever they want.
And he's just all pissed and stuff. And I'm like, you can't be taken seriously, dude, wearing a jean jacket. I mean, why did anybody let that one go through? But all sorts of weird stuff.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know. And they have her go up there, and I guess she says shit, but then they cut, and it takes a long time for them to like cut back to, oh, okay, we're still following her crossing that canyon, but it's just such this dry, interruptive cut to everybody, slowly riding horses across this field, and
apparently the horses are slower than a teenager jauntily walking across a field.
And why did she do that? Why did she just take off? But I guess maybe she was being called or something.
Yeah, well, I think that the reason why she took off was because they all wanted her to go back to the castle and everything, and they were all preparing for that, but she didn't want to do that, and she knew that she couldn't stay with them because they were going to just send her away. So she's like, screw that, I'm just going to go out and find my boyfriend and go save him on my own, kind of thing. And
yeah. I guess.
Not a care in the world, apparently. But did you see that coming? Did you see the surprise of that character being Elora Danan from the get-go?
I was a little bit surprised, honestly. I thought it was the red-haired girl, Jade Claymore. That's the character's name, played by Erin Kellerman. And
and Erin Kellerman, she's racking up quite the rap sheet for the things that she's been in. She was in Solo, a Star Wars story. She was also in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and a big role in that. And now she's doing Willow, so it's just like, man, she's just getting her hands into everything.
Somebody's got to give her a really good part, because in those other things, like I mean, I'm impressed with her as an actress, but just the characters that she's having to play just don't have the greatest of.
They're like all these side characters that don't really have an arc, and it kind of seems like the same archetype too that she's been playing. So maybe this one will be a little bit different for her. So I'm interested to see. Well,
but they've already just made some weird choices with her. Like, why? Yeah. I don't know why she was having to leave, and like she's all heartbroken that she's got to go, and I never really understood why in the world that was.
Why she was heartbroken?
No, like why she had to leave. They could have just stuck with her girlfriend being betrothed to this other prince. Like, there's the heartbreak right there. She can't be with her because she has to marry for political reasons and stuff.
Yeah,
I think also throw in that she's got to leave.
Yeah,
like,
I think
nobody seemed to care about that 5 minutes later when like, oh, never mind, go on this quest with Willow.
I know, it all gets thrown to the wind. Yeah. But I think the intent there was that she volunteered for this knighthood training outside of there because she knew that her the love of her life there, what was her name too? That was
Tantalos.
Yes, Princess Kit, played by Ruby Cruz. She knew that Kit was going to be married away and betrothed, which in every freaking fantasy they always have a betrothal where neither party wants to get married, and I mean, and it's so hard. I think that the weakness of this show is the fact that we've gotten so much good fantasy before it. I mean, we've gotten Lord of the Rings. I mean, House of the Dragon has done a lot of these themes way better and with a lot more care. So it's really hard to kind of see this stuff and get into it. And,
well, and I honestly wish that they had just leaned into the humor way more and just made it much more parody than anything else. Because,
and I gotta say, Warwick Davis is a delight. Like, as soon as he's on screen, I'm loving every single scene he's in. He is awesome to see. He's got a presence and he's got a character, and it's just fantastic to see him on screen. I love the fact that he's throwing out the bones and everything. I love the fact that he's doing all the stuff that the High Aldwin did in Willow, and he's cracking jokes. And
did you ever see that show Life's Too Short?
I didn't. You were talking about it in a previous episode, though.
It's only like 6 episodes, and they're short episodes. Just watch it. It's well worth it. It's this mockumentary about his life. He plays himself. He's struggling to get acting jobs after Star Wars and after Willow and all this stuff. He's an older man. And it's just hilarious. But part of it, I think you can see in Willow here, because he tells these bad jokes that just don't land when
Yeah.
he's kind of looking around, and that's
It's like,
exactly
I
how
was
it
trying to
goes.
warm up the crowd before.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I very
So,
much enjoy that. And it's because, thanks to the late and great Kenny Baker, he was unable to film a scene as one of the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. And that's how Warwick Davis got his big break, you know,
there you go.
as Wicket, which I don't think they actually say Wicket in Return of the Jedi, but we learn later on in the Ewok movies that came out afterwards.
So I don't know if they actually say this in. Maybe they do, but I didn't know until doing research for this episode that his last name is meant to be Oofgood.
Willow Oofgood.
Oofgood.
I don't think they mentioned that as well. And the dwarves in this, guys, and I had to look this up too, because like when me and the kids were watching the first one, they were like, are they a special thing or something? And I was like, you know what? I don't know. Let me research this. But yeah, they're called the Nelwyn, and the small people in this. And so we got the Nelwyn, and
even smaller people. There's like the sort of fairy folk type.
Mm-hmm. I forget what they're called too. Yeah. I don't know, but
I
that's
imagine.
the problem.
What's that?
That's the problem, though, is because like we don't
We're
have
not
a lot
really
of
given a ton of reference.
no
know,
reference
and
really whatsoever,
the
and that's the
universe
hardest
is
thing
not
about this too. Yeah,
set
it's
up
not.
very well.
It's not, because there's not a lot of material. You know, with Star Wars, we have books, we have comics, we have movies, we have all this rich story to draw from, to dive into, but we really don't have that with Willow. We have one movie from the 80s, and then we have this show. And I'm really curious, how did this show, you know, even get made? You know, have you looked that up?
No, I mean, I know that people have been asking for it for a while.
Okay.
But it is something that
Was
like
there
I said,
a lot of people were like, hey, wow, we gotta...
A lot of people were
gotta see
Willow
this.
fans. Like you said, it bombed at the box office, but then people rediscovered it as it was being played on network television, because it's one of those movies that you don't have to do a lot of editing to play on any network, you know? And so it's very accessible, and once interest in fantasy and sci-fi kind of increased throughout the end of the 80s and early 90s and stuff, as we got closer to the turn of the century, people rediscovered Willow and reintroduced it to their friends, their kids, and there was a resurgence. So, you know, it's seen, I mean, everything is getting rebooted, remade, or followed up with sequels, and all that kind of stuff. So to me, it just makes perfect sense that Willow's next on the list. You know, I'm sure they'll be coming out with a Labyrinth show at some point.
Discussion of the continuation actually started in 2005. Warwick Davis showed some interest in returning to the character in multiple interviews. So he's basically broadcasting out there, hey, I'd really like to return to Willow and play this character. And in May 2019, there was an interview with Ron Howard, who directed the 1988 film. He revealed that he actually approached Jonathan Kasdan, the writer of that first episode, about rebooting the film as a television series for Disney Plus. So they started talking about it in 2019. They had to bring on Stephen Wolfenden to direct the first 2 episodes of this. So there you go. Ron Howard pushed this with Jonathan Kasdan to get it made on Disney Plus, and here we are talking about it.
So I think overall it's pretty uneven so far. I like the second episode better because, again,
me too.
I think more of the humor was brought out, and we have the side characters kind of being turfed for right now. I'm sure they'll have stuff to do later on.
I did very much like Borman, who's played by Amar Chadha Patel. He's the thief. I didn't quite understand why he was in prison and why the Queen was going down there and chatting to him. But it's a reveal a little bit later on that he was a squire for Mad Mardigan. So he's definitely got a link to the family and everything else going on with that. So I did enjoy the character, and it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. And you and me talked about it too, brother, where I was like, well, I wonder if they're going to bring Mad Mardigan back, if they're going to have him show up in this. And it kind of feels like there might be a cameo. way down the road with Val Kilmer, maybe at some point, because, you know, he's the father of these kids, you know, that are central characters to this story and everything. We have a squire, and they say that Mad Mardigan went out there to get this special magical chess piece thing, you know. I was like, what is that? And it was like, how would that
had
affect
to go, you know.
yeah, so, you know, and then you get all these like creatures and these weird stuff that somehow are able to go across that barrier, and, you know, just none of this is really explained too well. And it's like, well, okay, so who is the antagonist here? Who are we like? Because the queen, the bad queen from the first movie, she was defeated and everything. She's gone. Is she coming back, or like?
I'm guessing that's what they mean by the crone, because
the crone, yeah, and they talk about the crone like it's and this is kind of what they did with the sequel trilogy too, with Snoke. It's like, oh, okay, this Snoke character exists. Who the hell is he? What is it? Why do we care? You know, kind of the same thing. So like, we have the crone out there, and I just like, there's no real stakes to me because I have no idea who this is, and it's like, okay, there's some general bad guys that stole the prince here, and
that's what it feels like in so much of this content that we're getting lately, with anything, with some of Star Wars, with Marvel, with Willow now, you know, just whatever it is, our main characters are going to have to face some big bad. There's a Koopa out there that we've got to deal with eventually, and they're not very well fleshed out. They're not going to be, it's just kind of like, all right, well, they've got to there's got to be some MacGuffin, and that's what it'll be. And there's, of course, always going to be a great war coming. It's not really going to end up being a great war. What they really mean is like maybe a 10-minute battle. You know?
Yeah, and that's like with you know, Willow's dreams and everything. He sees this big battle that he's in, and he sees that, you know, Honora Dunnan is Alora. He sees that Alora Dannon is has to die. So like, that's what you get at the end of episode 2, is that she has to die in order to save the realm or something. Little unclear too about what that is all about. And I'm like, well, are they trying to set this up as a multiple season series, or is this just going to be a one and done? I kind of hope that it's a one and done, and we just get this result.
That bad, honestly, right off the bat.
It's 8 episodes long, guys, if you didn't know. So I'm just, I'm not looking forward to other seasons. I just want this to be a contained story and everything wrapped up, because I'm like, okay, this is a huge investment if it's going to be like 5 or 6 seasons, and how's this going to go? So,
and already I feel like we're telling a story that probably could have fit into a movie. We'll see how it goes. But
right. Yeah.
These first 2 episodes definitely didn't need to be 50 minutes long.
No. And you know, that just gets me too, because it's like all these other shows out there, like The Mandalorian and things like that, and I would constantly see the run times, and they'd be like 30 minutes or something like that, and I'm just constantly disappointed. And I'm like, oh, this week we're gonna get like, oh man, what if we get like an hour and 30-minute episode? Wouldn't that be amazing? And then I see that Willow has like an hour episode apiece. I'm like, really? Why can't we give this to the stuff that we are really excited to see? And not that I wasn't excited to see Willow, but it's not my cup of tea. It wasn't really something I was a diehard for here too. So that all said, why don't we go into our ratings, brother, about these first 2 episodes? So what would you rate this one?
So I'll say, coming more as a diehard fan of Willow, I really loved it as a kid, and I didn't get to see it as much as I want to. So that probably made me even more of a diehard, because every time I'd see it on TV, I'd just do whatever I could to stay planted there, you know, like try to get out on my homework or just whatever it was, you know. And so Willow really had a special place in my heart. Showed it to my kids several months ago. They loved it, and I was like, oh, awesome. Guess what, guys? They're coming out with a series. And then we're watching these first 2 episodes, and they're just bored to tears.
Oh, jeez.
Come on, you can't do this to Willow. And so, for me, it was a disappointment. I wish that they'd have just leaned in to the goofy humor that the original show was, that they do have a lot of here. So it's not like it's a complete waste of time. So I'm going to give. Let's rate them individually. I'll give the first episode a 5 out of 10, and the second episode probably a 7 out of 10. What about you, brother?
Oh my God. Yeah, before I came on here, episode 1, 5 out of 10. So I just can't believe we're same thing. Okay, I'll do episode 2. I was gonna say a 7 out of 10, but talking to you more, I kind of lowered it down. So let's go 6 out of 10 for episode 2 on that. Yeah, I know. For me, I'm still not super excited about the series. There's so many little. Oh God, dude! Even the horse riding was unbearable to watch.
Yeah,
it's just like you could tell that it was just a fake horse, and it's like I thought they were trying to be funny or something with it because it was just so
what
terrible.
I don't understand is either they're trying to be funny because of how the original looked and the effects that were used, but then all of a sudden there's something serious and crazy going on with like really expensive special CGI effects. And so I just don't know where any of it lands, and it doesn't land ultimately.
Yeah, it doesn't. So very hard.
Warwick Davis is driving it home for me.
Seriously, like he is the bright shining star of this series. His daughter, his daughter character in this, I want to give this actress some kudos too, because she did an outstanding job as well. I thought she brought it too.
Absolutely, she did. She actually had me a little bit emotionally invested.
Me too.
All of the emotional stuff that was going on. Annabelle Davis.
Okay, thank you for finding that. Yeah, and what was Willow's daughter's name in that? Mims. Okay, yes. And so apparently Annabelle Davis did an amazing job with this, and you felt it, and you did feel that little bit of nostalgia too, because she with her brother were the first ones to find Honora Dannon, in the river. Elora. Again, these damn names, man. I've had to remember so many names. Mark it down. It's another reason I don't like this as much. The damn names I can never remember. Mad Mardigan I can. I love that name. But yeah, so Mims, right? So that was an awesome job. And again, they're leaving it ambiguous about what happened to the wife, Willow's wife. What happened to his son? I'm sure they're going to dive into that in further episodes here. And one of the things, too, is critics, they actually got to see 3 episodes. So we only got to see 2. And the critics got to see 3. So maybe there's something in the 3rd episode that really brings it up. And that might be one of the reasons why the score from these 54 critics is so much higher than the audience. So maybe they'll bring it on back here this Wednesday. We'll find out. We're going to be covering it again here on Fatherly Fandom here on Wednesday. So
I'm not looking forward to whatever love triangles they're already setting.
Oh jeez, yeah,
I know. Like, this is so dumb, but
and Flash, what is it, Flash from Spider-Man, Peter Porker, like I just the whole time he was on screen I'm just like
that's what I was thinking too.
It's his damn character in this. So that's what is that, Prince Graydon, so played by
why are they having him have a thing
just
for a lord?
Staring out the window too, like when everybody's fighting without his shirt on.
Right, I think why they're doing it is because in the end maybe they'll get together and unite the 2 kingdoms. And he did seem to be, have a bit of a crush, it seemed like, on Elora. I'm going to say it right this time. Elora Dunham. Dannon. I want to say Dunham too. Dannon. Like the yogurt. Right? Dannon yogurt. There we go. Got it. Let's just call her Dove or Broomhilde. Whatever her name. I've loved Willow for this long and I never knew his last name. I didn't know he had one.
Oof good. Oof, that's so good. Oof good. Yeah, I know. Wow. I don't think that they mentioned it in the first movie, so how would you know? It's not like there's a lot of extra material. So, really, that's it for me. Do you have anything else, buddy, before we depart these lands of...
No, I don't think so, man.
Of the High Aldwin Willow Oofgood.
So... Yeah, we'll see how it goes Wednesday night.
Yeah, we will.
Look us up.
Yeah. All right, if you guys like, Yeah, so here at Fatherly Fandom, there's a bunch of trailers that came out. Indiana Jones 5, that trailer came out, so I reacted to that. You can see that on our channel. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 trailer came out, and I gotta say, after watching that trailer, I am all on board with that movie. Can't wait to see it. It looks amazing from that trailer. So I got that reaction up there too, and I've started doing a little minute news thing, so each week I'm gonna compile a little bit of the news and try to spew it off in 1 minute on our shorts and everything here, so just to get it out there. And I time myself and I'm like get it out there for you guys so you get that to enjoy. So look forward to all that kind of stuff. More reviews on Willow. We'll be doing Bad Batch when that comes out in January, and then Mandalorian Season 3 comes out on March 1st. That got announced too, so we'll be reviewing that. I bet you they're going to be coming out with 2 episodes of that on that time. There's going to be some overlap between Bad Batch and Mandalorian, so look forward to seeing us cover all this good stuff here at Fatherly Fandom. And if you want to listen to us, we also have a podcast now. You can find us on Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts, as well as Amazon Music, all the different places that you can find us on. So check us out there if you can. If you can, like our video and subscribe to us. We're a small channel, and we'd love to get new subscribers. Every single one I celebrate. It's awesome. We're at 160 subscribers right now. I got a couple in the last couple of days, and it's just been like, woo-woo! See that little notification? Might be another subscriber. It might be you out there. And if you're watching this, you can help us out. Just hit that little subscribe button, and it would make our days, guys. That'd be a great Christmas present to me and Matt here at Fatherly Fandom. So go ahead and do that, and we will see you next time. And from our families to yours,
have a good one.
Adios.